The docks at Hirakuro idea is on the other side of Hirakuro, very close to Hanitsuyo. We want to check the population of Hanitsuyo and see like how many people live there and how much is that connection important. But that moves all of the economics of Hanitsuyo over to Hirakuro, where stores can be built that are delivered, things are delivered by vehicle, and that they can buy things in bulk and take to their island. That could help them out a lot economically. It helps them out in terms of time. There can be a separation between tourism and local travel. I think that's very important, just like Pottscore has two docks. And we have docks that are only for locals. And then if locals want to take the tourist one, maybe they get a discount still. I think that's fine. I think that's great. And they might even want to look at tourists, or tourists look at them, or even chat with them, or whatever. Try not to have chintzy tourist items, but have good tourist items for sale. Hanitsuyo. Hanitsuyo is already full of touristy items, so there's no point in competing on that side on the Hirakuro end. I would recommend selling people straw hats. And so you're going to be out in the sun, buy a straw hat before they go and after they leave. Hit them both times. That's the product the town has. That's the specialty product. And then also promote other local handicrafts, but stick to quality. Have really nice embroidered shirts, and then have even, this is a crazy idea, this is kind of mean, but you could put up a big piece of wood, like an MDF, and you could pin up onto it a one that is made that's very cheap, and one that's made that is not so cheap. And then say which elements you can tell, how you can tell that this is high quality. And that way you're selling the best of what your region has to offer. That's a walking advertisement around the world of the quality of your products. The person who buys it feels like they're buying something really special. It's made with a lot of labor. And so they're going to see the people behind it. And those people aren't just in China with a machine. There are people here sewing onto your shirt, embroidering onto your shirt, making a higher quality product. And that's what I would love this area to be focused on. There's great traditions here. We might want to tweak some of them, like not have lead in the glaze. Although I don't know when they started putting lead in glaze anyway. It probably came with the Spanish. I don't know. So here's our guys with their cool boat. Let's get back to these guys. Well, that looks really fun. And those are like waves and stuff. This is definitely not here. Very clear water. Sunday's market day, they say here in Oaxaca. Again, they're talking about a place in the south. In this particular area in Aronga, when is market day? Do you know? Have you been watching these videos? It's Tuesday. If you're never going to come here, you don't need to know that. But Aronga is a great place to visit. You really want to visit for a week at least, I think, to get a feel for it. It's a good town. It's a real mellow town. Anyway, so we'll skip onward. The markets here don't look quite like that. They have tables, and they probably have tables down there too. Here's the pretty Mexican corn. I will grow any kind of corn here. Native corn. They have many kinds. I want to grow a black corn. I want to grow multicolored corn. I have had very few corn successes because the birds eat them all. That's what happens. It's a tragedy. But corn is still very important here. They grow a lot of white corn and they feed animals corn. So corn is a big part of the whole society. Here we have tamales. There's also corundas. They're a little bit different somehow, and what you wrap them in changes its name. I would like to have these with more stuff in them. I've had plain ones of these, and I did have a really nice plain spongy one. It was actually really good. And we put some cream on it, and that made it much good. It was kind of like a little cake in a way. But I also like the idea of putting more stuff in it. Now, a hambao from China, I think, or Korea, has some meat stuff within it, like they roll the meat inside the dough. I do like that, but I don't really mind it if it's wrapped in something and steamed this way, if it also just kind of has meat through it, I need flavor. And I don't always like to be dumping stuff on things. I know other people love that. I just want my food made of food that I want, and I'm going to eat it. Here they have some grubs, maguey worms, grasshoppers. We've dried grasshoppers here. That's fantastic. There's a lot of odd foods here we can experiment with. In fact, I'd like to kind of make a pre-Columbian menu. And here's what you would eat if you were Purepecha living here. Purepecha is a group of indigenous people here. What would you eat if you were a Huichol here? What would you eat if you were in the Yucatan? Well, this kind of book tells you some of that. Squash blossoms, certainly we eat those here. This says pumpkins, but they mean squash, I think. And they make soups, quesadillas, tamales, and stuff with a lot of peppers, of course. There's tons of food to eat. Oh my God. Cacao, chocolate, Could talk about that forever. I want to have the best source. The best source I know of right now is bulk chocolate purchased from a company whose name I forgot, but I can only buy it by the kilo right now. I want to buy it how the stores buy it. I want to buy it by the big costal, and then I want to fill people's containers of it when they buy it. So everybody has a little chocolate occasionally. I think it's healthy for you. It's the best kind of sugary sweet thing. I can't grow it here except in a microclimate. So in this particular case, it's a valuable enough product that I'm willing to buy it from afar. I'm breaking the rule of eating locally, and I'm not willing to put in the infrastructure to grow enough myself for it to make a damn difference at all. Sometimes it's just better to buy. So we'll buy chocolate. There's that guy again. He's working on his basket. Okay, so at this point, we're going to go from the places we've been to more different places in Mexico. This is great. I like this a lot because I felt like I was being, too much in the south there. Oh my gosh. This is quite a page here. The name of the country, the economy of the country, the official language of the country, languages, I should speak. There are many languages. Religion, government, money is the peso. Orografia, mountain ranges, the topography, I guess. Ethnic groups, 65 ethnic groups. This is all stuff we can talk about later. I'll make videos on this 2 pages maybe. Oh, there's more. Hydrography, that's water. Where do the people live? Most of the people live in the highlands because it's not too damn hot. The coast is really hot. When people think about Mexico, they think of the beach. And then they think about moving to Mexico, they're like, well, I'm going to move to the beach and I'm going to sit around and drink a margarita. Well, after you're living there for a while, you're also going to walk around sweating a lot, or you're going to be sitting around because you don't want to walk around because you're tired of sweating. And you're just going to sit in your place with air conditioning going, and you'll enjoy nice mornings and nice evenings, and it's going to be too damn hot all the time. That's my impression of the coast. Now, you move to the coast if you disagree with me and you say, no, I really love it hot, I'm right, you're wrong. And then I say, you're right, I'm wrong, I agree with you. But almost everybody in Mexico lives in Guadalajara or Mexico City or Monterrey, high up. And yeah, there's some temperature extremes in Monterrey probably, but Guadalajara and Mexico City have really mild, stable temperatures that you can easily adjust yourself with a layer or two at night to keep warm, or wearing a little bit less during the day, and you're perfectly comfortable temperature. And a lot of the buildings are built with really big stones, so you have cool spots to be in. So no matter where you're at, actually, you should dig in, even if you move to the coast, dig in and make the coldest spot you can. Build yourself a root cellar with ventilation to live in. Seriously, you're going to need it. The climate, my favorite website is weatherspark.com. Weatherspark, like a spark of weather. And you can enter in 2 different city names and compare them and see the graphs of their climate. I believe climate should be a big part of your decision when you choose to move locations. Move to a place that's easy to live in without a lot of energy inputs. And move to a place where the people are nice and there's a lot of shitty places in the world for a variety of reasons. Don't move to one of those either, but certainly consider the climate as a big factor. National drink is tequila. Mezcal's coming along, and we're gonna see about that. Also, they didn't mention pulque yet. Pulque is like a beer made with that kind of stuff, and it's fermented rapidly, and I think it can be improved. I have thoughts on how we can improve pulque. I'm not attacking the culture, I'm adding to it. A national sport is what? I think it's a horse thing. These people have very different rodeos. They only ride bulls here. So this is not about the Mexico I know. That's cool. I can learn about some of the differences. Árbol Nacional is Árbol de Tule in Oaxaca. This is such a Oaxaca-focused book. I'm sure that wherever this place is, it's called XCARET, Xcaret. I think they told me how to pronounce it at the beginning. I didn't read it. Sorry. Apologize for mispronouncing your place. It does sound great. So, nice book. I really like the fact that they said I can just use this book. I don't have to get permission from anybody. I think it would be fair use to even do this video without that, but we'll see. National song, don't care. National dance, no, they're all fine. There's lots of them. The prickly pear, national food, that's great. Beer, sure, whatever. Beer culture in Mexico is improving and growing. A lot more home brewing going on. I'm very happy to see that. This is a great timeline. Oh my goodness. I am thrilled with this timeline. Look at that timeline. This is a really good way to see like the complexity of culture in Mesoamerica. There have been empires that rose and they fell. There have been ecological conditions that changed. There's been waves of migration. There's been wars and slavery and rituals. There's been religions and art. It's a complex society. And these pages contrast what was happening in other parts of the world at that time here. If you're going to try and study Mexican history, you got a lot of studying to do. So I would guard against any opinion that you have, even if you're Mexican, about the history and identity of Mexico unless you've studied it. Because your experience doesn't mean the experience of everyone else. And when you come in to study something from the outside, you're prone to a wide variety of misinterpretations and problems. So study slow, study hard, study deep, or don't pretend your opinion means anything. Wow, I'm going to have to look through those later. Those are just fantastic. All right, Mexico and its beautiful touristic attractions. Let's go through that. That sounds fun. Wow. Okay, once again, we're overwhelmed. And I've been to some of these. I've been to San Miguel de Allende, just for a little bit. Here's Morelia right there on the page. That's wonderful. They have an amazing cathedral there. I've heard it's the tallest in Mexico, but it's really hard for me to believe that. They do have a really big organ. They have like the biggest organ in either the world or in Mexico or somewhere. And apparently you can play it. I mean, I don't get to play it, but some organ person can play it. Xochimilco I want to go to down there. That's where they have chinampas and a really interesting gardening style that was really popular at the time when Tenochtitlan was one of the biggest cities in the world. And I think at one point it was actually the biggest city. And they had a gardening method that made a huge amount of sense. In the absence of gasoline-powered vehicles, they used boats. Floating a bunch of produce is a lot easier than not. I've never heard anyone express that, but that's got to be one of the reasons to have little canals everywhere. Also, you don't have an irrigation problem because your soil is right above the water and it's sucking in tons of stuff. They're not island gardens, and I wish people would stop saying that. No, they're not floating island gardens. They are island gardens. They are canals and things. But when they say they're floating, that implies they're not attached to anything, and I don't believe that's actually correct. I would actually like to make similar things down here in the lake bed. This is the kind of case where we don't want to lose that culture, because right now there's barely any of the chinampas left, and these are tourist boats on them. So there's still viveros down there, there's still agricultural production, but how come we don't have that same agricultural production right here? Why not? This is Mexican culture, and we can borrow it and use it. There are similar systems used all around the world. How come we're not doing it? Now, I can't do it up here because I don't have any water, but there's water and fields laying right over there. And those could be massively productive for directly producing food, not just food for cows, and stomping down the ground and everything, but having certain places. And we can also start with rotating crops and keep cows out of a field and then grow a bunch of food for them and then let them in. So there's ways to play with these canals and irrigation systems that don't use any pumps, and we can use very ancient ways. And one of the ideas is that, maybe it is smarter to move things in. And I mean, we have vehicles now. That's fine, and we'll have carts always, and we'll have horses. And we can certainly design a set of canal systems where we can have it fan out and have like a fractal pattern to it where you can get out to lots of parts of it with a cart or something. But it is also useful to make it very, very canoe friendly. And I think that we should make better canoe type vehicles than we have now. Like even these little boats in Xochimilco look like they could be electric. Why not? I mean, if we have an agricultural thing, why are we burning gasoline-powered boats next to an agricultural thing? That seems really dumb. A lot of wind. Yeah, there's a lot of wind. Every single one of these spots, you could look up and be surprised at what it is all about. This says Festividades Indígenas del Culto a los Muertos, Michoacán y Estado de Mexico. That was that question I asked earlier about the difference between sect and cult. This means Day of the Dead, is what it means. And Day of the Dead, I don't think of a cult. It's the word is being used differently in English. I think they should not use that word in English. And then there's a bunch of places I've never been to. I have seen this building at UNAM. It has a bunch of murals there. I've never been to Baja Sur. It sounds great. But I like places with trees. I would visit other ones. And right now I just want to visit places in Michoacan. And now on the next pages, they've got the North region, the Northeast region, the North region, and what's in those places. I'm not even sure which region I'm in. Maybe I'm in Central. My gosh, what a bunch of stuff. The Western region, the Central region. I feel like I'm in Central region. The Gulf region, the Peninsula of Yucatan. And here's a really good map. I'll show you a few other maps here as well to really see the division of areas in Mexico. This particular map is a state map, and it shows the capitals a little bit. I live in the state of Michoacan. It's the best state. It's the soul of Mexico. That's the tagline. And it's right kind of in the middle of stuff that occurs, and then slightly out of the way with some coastline. It's just a great state to be in. I'm so privileged to be here. They've got a lot of different ecosystems here, and a lot of those have undergone a great amount of stress. And I think it is should be the ambition and goal of every person everywhere to all around them improve biodiversity. And there's many ways that can be done. I have a whole list of suggestions I can give you on how you, where you're at, can be part of making a more biodiverse world full of life instead of a dead desert. And they've got some mountains here, and they've only got they've got some good-sized mountains here. Yeah. Pre-Columbian areas. This map does not seem to be accurate to me. It depends on what time of year. I guess they're just talking about architectural sites or something. Here we go. I don't see the Prepich entered anywhere on here, and I don't like that. Maybe I'm missing them. It's more diverse than it says here. It's a very, very complex culture. And then this talks about visiting the Mexican Caribbean. Here's a big resort, and in fact, as I suspected, Zacaret, or whatever, a tribute to Mexico, and here's the resort. So I do like it that they've been fairly subtle this entire book, and I feel like this is a really great, coffee table book to see the place. And lots of textures and stonework and just beautiful things. I think there's artistic inspiration just everywhere here in Mexico, as I suppose with probably most anywhere. But they've done a really good job at collecting from a variety of cultures. And that's one of the things that I appreciate the most about Mexico is how multicultural it is and how welcoming to various foreigners and foreign ideas that it is. Because even within the Spanish culture that came here, there was the Moorish culture, and that did transfer over somewhat. They've had various empires rise and fall and attack each other. At the time when there was the Aztecs and Purépecha, those were both newcomers to the area. The Aztecs came from a mythical place that was somewhere real. They came from somewhere, and it was probably up north. And then the Purépecha came from somewhere, and that's unclear. There's the Zuni Indians who have a similar language, and then there's some linguistic similarities to Quechua. But both those groups were newcomers. They were not indigenous to the area. They were either migrants or invaders, depending on your point of view and depending on how it actually was. I don't know. There's very little historical evidence of what happened. And in the absence of a complex written language, unfortunately, we have lost a huge amount of culture. We've lost dynasties of culture that we otherwise would have known about. In China, they had a record of those dynasties. In Europe, they had a record of those dynasties. But they had longer dynasties and more time to figure things out. And the Americas kind of got started later than a lot of other places in the world. And for a variety of reasons, they did not develop a written culture enough for us to really understand very well who and what they were. We know a little bit, and some of it was written by, the Spanish who invaded, and that's not a very trustworthy source. So now here's These are shows, I guess. Look at all those people. I guess all those people are watching their cultural event. And here they are in subterranean rivers. These are cenotes. They're really beautiful water features down in the Yucatan.